Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. And off the press this morning, it's a Friday edition. My name is Felicity Ezewuike. As usual, what we do is take a look at the headlines and with the help of some specialists, make some sense of it and allow you to make the decisions you need to make as you go about your day today. And to help me do that are two gentlemen, Bestman Abumere, he's an insurance practitioner. Thank you very much for coming in, sir.
Thanks for having me.
We also have Nejeeb Bello, he's a blogger and political analyst. A pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll start with what we have. We'll start with the Punch newspaper. We also have this day the Nation and Vanguard newspaper. This is the news that nobody really wants to capture, but it's unfortunate it happened and someone had to report it, talking about the Lagos building collapse. I lost one child, another critically injured, says mother. And then there are pictures on the front page, very sad pictures. I must warn you, you might want to look away if you don't want to see them. At the very top, you have Night National Assembly. Deft moves begin over Senate presidency. APC senators-elect won Buhari on zoning. That's another story on the front page. And at the top master of the paper, you have Nigeria, South Tome, and Principe award 3 oil blocks to Total, a bit of business on page 27. And then you have Nigeria's HIV/AIDS prevalence rate drops to 1.4%. I don't know if that's cherry news or not. Ekiti electricity law prescribes 2-year jail term for vandals, and then police arrest 4 more suspects for oil murder. I'm just going to go to the bottom quickly and take one of them. INEC panel to submit report on Bauchi inconclusive polls today. And then on the back page of the Punch newspaper, we have election model and our soft power deficits. That's Friday musings with Ayo. There's something on retired officers of the Nigerian police force protesting non-payment of their pension at Punch Place. Somewhere in Ogun State, some police pensioners there. That's it on your screen. All right, gentlemen, let's talk about some of these things. I'll just come to you, Mr. Bestman. Where this Lagos building collapse, from your perspective, how do you react to this headline?
Well, first and foremost, I think my condolence goes to the parents who lost their loved ones in the collapsed building. Though we'll be getting conflicting figures, there is no person that will see what had happened there that his or her heart will not bleed. That is number one. And we want to interrogate what led to this monumental tragedy. Could it have been avoided? Could it have been averted? And the answer is yes. Because information has it that the building, one, is tenanted by people, two, business offices, and 3, a school at the last floor. Not only that, it was earmarked for demolition 3 days ago.
About 2 years.
2 years ago.
Okay.
After failing all tests that a building should pass through to know whether or not it should continue to stand. And if the Lagos State government, the Ministry of Physical Planning, Urban and Physical Planning, and what have you, thought it fit that, look, that building was not fit for human habitation, why did they leave it so long and allow people to continue to habit that building? That's the question. So the Lagos State government officials have lots and lots of questions to answer.
All right, let me come to you, Nejeeb. I know you would want to speak on this, so you take a quick swipe and then we'll move on to other headlines.
Well, the same thing I would say. Everybody feels so sad about this incident, especially being in school. A lot of young people were in the building at the time it happened, and this is very preventable. The earliest BCA should have earmarked it for demolition. I can't explain why a building earmarked for demolition as of 2017 would still be up by 2019.
I understand it was even renovated at
yes,
not
the
too long
owners,
ago.
there's no excuse really. I think people in the LASBCA have questions to answer, and some of them have to be held responsible. The landlords, they criminally, as in this is not a corporate, or it's not. They have to. Somebody has to go to jail for this. We've had too many of these kind of incidents, and we've heard nothing out of the cases. From the churches that collapsed almost 5 years ago, several of them. So I think there are things that can be done, and the government needs to step up its game. That entire area, I visit there sometimes, that Lagos Island area. You see buildings that it's not. You can't explain how this building is still standing. So something has to be done, and government has to come in and take up its role properly.
And the souls of those that died rest in peace.
Amen.
All right, other headlines. Let's take ourselves away from the gloom for a second.
I think most of the headlines in the Punch catch me today. Nigeria, Sao Tome, there is a joint development authority for oil blocks shared by Nigeria and Sao Tome signing this deal with Total to explore and see what oil they can find there. And Total said they are spending about $10 million to investigate the place and look for oil. I think expanding our reserves is very important at this time, and I look forward to better things. In terms of the HIV/AIDS, 1.4%. It's a drop, but I can't explain why it's dropping. HIV, it's not yet curable, at least.
Maybe it's contact rates, prevalence rate.
Prevalence rate is basically the amount of people
that get infected.
So the drop from about 3 million, I think 3 million people or so in 2014 till now, probably a lot of them died, and there are many reasons for that. So, like you said, it may be something positive. It could be something negative. It could be that over the last couple of years, people have not been getting their antiretrovirals. People have not been testing as much as possible because of various challenges. Financial also. Tests are more expensive now because we bring all these things from abroad. So, the possibilities are, I can't tell.
All right, we go to this day newspaper now. A couple of headlines striking here. Of course, the death toll in Lagos building collapse rises to 14. Rescue operations end. That's the situation on Lagos Island. And then to the screamer, INEC urges National Assembly to prioritize Electoral Act amendment. They have it on the front page. It has a couple of riders. Present certificate of return to new lawmakers. Keep silent on Rivers election. NLC demands full autonomy for electoral body and more. At the very top, the Nigeria-Sao Tome issue is recaptured here to develop oil blocks. PDP worried over Buhari APC governors meeting ahead of extra elections. You find details of that story on page 8 of the paper. Human rights violations still high in Nigeria. This is according to Amnesty. Details on page 10. March against AIDS. There's a picture of the president looking all serious, listening to someone. What it's about, you need to go read the story to find details. And at the back of the paper, we have End Igini. And Igini stood his ground. And Igini stood his ground. That's from Akwa Ibom State. That's the name of the resident electoral commissioner, Mike Igini. You might want to go find out what is going on with this commentary by Shaka Momodu on the back page of this day newspaper. Gentlemen, which would you like to talk on before we move
I think
on?
I would like to talk on the as for the oil block and whatever, I'm not enthused by it anyway, because other nations who are futuristic are thinking of technology that will better the loss of their people and the economies they manage. Not oil. Oil will certainly finish one day and go into extinction, or we may not even have a need for it, going by all the inventions and what have you coming out from clients who know what they are doing. Then the issue of zoning that was raised in Punch, if I can take us back there, those who are saying that the president should not pay attention to zoning, I think they are not being fair. If there's going to be sense of justice and equity and belongingness, there is no way you can say, okay, like they are speculating now, Amelawa will come from the north, the president is already from the north, maybe the speaker, when it comes to speakership, even though the name of Gbajambi Amila and what have you have been speculated, by strength of numbers, they could say, okay, it should also come from. So where is the sense of equity? And people are already saying, look, why not zone the Senate presidency to the east? And what have you, to at least make them have that sense of belongingness. So I think it's very, very important.
Something about human rights violations still high in Nigeria.
It is not only high, it's higher now. It's higher now. That is the reality.
I'll talk about the amendment of the Electoral Act. You know,
okay, this is the INEC urges Ninth Assembly. Okay.
Yeah, going into the elections, just before the elections, President Buhari said he couldn't sign. He had some issues with it, but he said generally he couldn't sign because of the closeness to the election. So I think just as soon as the election ends, they should start working on amending the areas they have issues with and seeing if they can pass it within the next couple of months.
With due respect, I don't think Professor Yakubu should be at the forefront of those agitating for the amendment of. They should all be cleared out there. They've not done a good job, considering the humongous amount they were given to conduct this election. For example, monies were voted for dogs. Did you see any dog anywhere?
Horses.
So there should be a clear out there and let people who will represent the interests of Nigerians well come on stream. And that autonomy is very, very important. A situation where whatever the INEC does as an institution is at the whims and caprices of the executive can never and will never be in the interest of the country.
All right, the Nation newspaper is up next. We have Tribunal grants Buhari APC access to poll items. So ruling party seeks CTC to prepare defense. 12 categories of materials listed. You know, the tribunal, Atiku, is already gotten access to these materials, and I guess APC needs something to defend themselves as well. Ajumobitu Makinde, beware of praise singers. Court puts off hearing in of a robbery suspect trial. Details of that is on page 42. Obasanjo Atiku meet in Abeokuta. Let's see, agony by survivors of Lagos building collapse. Not a good picture, actually. All right, on the back page of the Nation newspaper, we have the fury of the demos and the task ahead. That's on comment and debate. There you have it. Hardball, IE's formula. That's something else for you. IE's formula. All right, gentlemen. Doesn't seem to be that much on the front page of the Nation, but enough to talk about this advice to Makinde. What do you make of it?
Yeah, Sheyi Makinde, he won the Oyo State elections recently, and he went to visit the current governor, you know, as a show of cooperation, and they had a decent discussion, exchanging ideas and advising each other on how to go about things. I don't know whether it's praise singers that made Ajimobi perform so poorly that the Oyo people wanted him out, but could be. Maybe he's just telling us how come they lost Oyo State. So.
All right, there are some other headlines here. Which would you want to take?
The issue of elections material inspection is of concern to me, because as we speak, INEC has not been able to authenticate, all the results collated from the various police centers. And the question some people have been asking is, how did you get the results you use in declaring people winners? Not only the president, but across board. Some people are even speculating that they don't have result sheets, they don't have figures, and that they are jittery.
Well, Well, this is Nigeria. We see miracles happen every day. Let me ask you on this Obasanjo-Atiku meeting in Abeokuta. There's speculation that Atiku went there to seek advice on his move to question the outcome of the presidential election. Do you see maybe, just let me hear your thoughts on it.
I wouldn't join this speculation. Obasanjo sort of supported Atiku in his quest to become Nigeria's president, so it's necessary for him to seek advice from Obasanjo. But, you know, being the ex-president who has seen a lot, he has helped other people become president. He has had challenges, he has had successes. So I think it makes sense for them to liaise once in a while. Like I've said, I don't believe Atiku would have a good time in the tribunal. And it's necessary people advise him if to go forward, if to step down. But Obasanjo would be the best person to give the most solid advice on that.
The Vanguard is next. We have presidential poll. APC secures order to inspect materials. That's on the front page of the Vanguard. At the very top, you have INEC kicks as court stops maker polls in Adamawa. Lagos building collapse, father of deceased peoples threatened suicide. 1.9 million Nigerians living with HIV. That's according to a survey. FG sets up presidential inauguration committee. You find details on page 8. At the very bottom of the paper, we have elections. Deployment of military set back to electoral reforms. That's Labour speaking. You find details on page 8. Sean new deals with Imo government. Ihedioha warns banks. OBJ warns Oyo governor-elect against running selfish government as Atiku visits. Mr. and Mrs. Cartoon is always there. You know, we like it. In the back of the Vanguard newspaper, we have sports. But before we go to sports, let's just take your thoughts quickly before we wrap things up. What do you make of these headlines here? At one point, this is another angle to that same report, I think. At 1.9
million. That's
with HIV.
1.9 million is 1.4%, I think, thereabout.
Yeah.
So, Buhari says here that we can't celebrate yet. So till we know how come that decline happened, like I said, it's not as if they are being cured for now the way HIV is. We can't cure it. So I think what's happening is a lot of deaths have happened over the past couple of years, but we need to really look into that to be able to understand better. On this same issue of APC, I think it's the biggest news today, APC getting the order. Since the PDP and Atiku had applied for it and the court restrained them from carrying out forensic audit, I think I would have loved a situation where APC may have recrafted their own application so that it allows them, even if without using that word forensic audit, you know, maybe. But then they got almost the same thing the PDP got, and it will help them defend themselves when the cases come up.
All right. What about this presidential inauguration committee that federal government is setting up? Do you think it's premature or good enough in good time?
No, it doesn't take away anything. The only thing I know is that I do not belong to the school of thought that says that Atiku should not go to court. Yeah. If he feels that an injustice has been done him,
he should go to court, definitely.
Go to court. And whatever comes out of the litigation process is bound to enrich not only the legal profession, but the democracy
of
itself.
Our country. Yeah, quick thought on this one, Nejeeb. Sean new deals with Imo Governor Ihedioha warns banks.
Yes, it's usually like that in Nigerian politics, which has a lot to do with money. Sometimes outgoing governors tend to get the state indebted, and I think that's what those coming in are trying to avoid. So it's good. Usually at this period, when you're about to leave, it's not the time to be getting loans.
Yeah. Like you said, this is Nigeria. Money is politics.
Yeah, so we have to be careful.
I want to say thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming in. Bestman, Abumere.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nejeeb, Bello, thank you very much. We'll be back. You're not going anywhere. We'll be back for sports. Do stay with us. It's time for Sports and Off the Press. A look at all the latest headlines in the sports world. And I have with me Bestman Abumere still in the building. Thank you very much, sir, for staying. We have complete sports to look at this morning. Mourinho votes for Manchester Derby. That's one for you. We have Rogers. Iheanacho will start firing again. We also have five-star Chelsea. We have smoking gunners, Abumere at the double as Arsenal seal Europa League comeback. Arsenal 3, Rennes 0. I don't know if I got those names correctly. So which of these would you say is like the biggest sports story right now?
I'm a Gunners fan. I was happy that they skated through yesterday. Recall that when they went to France a week ago or so, they were beaten 3-1 by Rennes, one of the Ligue 1 teams, but I think they had a celebrity scene yesterday. They beat them 3-0, and that brought this into 4-3 aggregate. So which automatically qualifies Arsenal for the next round or quarterfinal. Maybe it's the same with the Champions League. Then the Manchester City Derby. I think that is going to be a tough one, just like Arsenal and the Man U match that happened during weekend. And people did not expect Arsenal to beat Man U with 2-goal margin, and that was an interesting match.
I wish we had more time. Would have taken a look at the back page of Vanguard. But thank you very much again for staying with us for sports. And that's it on Off the Press this morning. On Monday, we'll be back again. Do stay with us. I'm Felicity Ezewuike.